Hello, everybody, and welcome. It's episode 12 and the final Ready to Go show of 2015. We're going to discuss the new Google Plus platform because it definitely is new. This is not a little tweak. This is a brand new platform that they changed considerably. Let's say hello. Let's start something. Let's start with Randy this morning.
Hello, I'm glad to be here and sending out holiday cheer to everyone out there. Seeing how this is our last gathering of the year, and it's been a fun year with you, Ray. I really enjoy it. So.
Oh well, I mean, I look forward to seeing you guys every week. I wish we lived closer. We could just stop in for coffee and borrow some sugar or something. So
eggnog and bourbon this time of year, man.
Oh man, it's too bad it's so early. BL, how you doing?
Good morning from New York. I'm doing great, but there's some construction outside, which I hope you won't be hearing, as usual. I'm really happy to be here, and I look forward to this every week too. And I'm really glad to be able to participate with these really smart people. I learn something here every week, and I think you're a great host.
Oh. You're great. I thought about you a lot as I watched the Macy's Day Parade.
I was in Central Park when they were getting ready, and so we could hear the bands and all.
Oh, how exciting!
That is exciting. The dogs don't like it though.
So Jess, you had a big trip over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a big trip. It was our first family road trip now that we're within driving distance of family, and it was beautiful on the way out and kind of harried and a little scary on the way home, but it worked out just fine, and it's always good to get together with family. And like you said, Ray, I love you guys, and I wish you could all just come to my house for something any time of the year. It doesn't have to be just for bourbon and eggnog like Randy shared, which also got me excited.
Well, Scotty.
Well, hi. So glad to be here, and I'm thinking about how this particular program has evolved from the Lunch Bunch to the Ready to Go show, and it's unusual in all the world, and in a good sense, because we've got a terrific panel that shows up every week. We've good friends. We've got a great viewing audience. Some come in live. Many watch in replay, and these programs many of them are timeless that you can go back and appreciate. So it's just a good time to kind of reflect of good times up until now, and now we're going to speculate about what's to come, right?
Exactly. We don't know where we're going to be when we come back, so just hang in there. So let's get on with the topic. So I have to tell you, as someone who's been here since the beginning, it was a bit of it was a cold shower. Like, where is everything? Why did they do this? How could they do this to me? I'm leaving. It was like I felt like I was in a dysfunctional relationship, and yeah, in a way I was. I was a bit codependent. It's not my platform. They can do what they want, and we can't force them to do. I mean, but the writing on the wall was evident for quite a while, and now they completely redid it. I think it was Horowitz who said basically they just deconstructed it, demolished it, and started from scratch. So what's the difference? Well, I mean, I won't go into every part of that's different, but the big difference is that they've taken the mobile experience and transferred it onto the desktop. Meaning, if you were used to accessing Google Plus on mobile before, you probably won't be as jarred with the changes as I was, because I was totally a desktop user. So for me, it was a huge, huge difference. But I've heard from other people saying, well, I've always done it on mobile, and it's not that much different. But I, being a Hangout on Air host, I use events a lot, and I use a lot of other things. I search, mentions. We used to have ripples. I was an advanced user. So the new Google Plus, there's no place for advanced users. Anybody who used Google Plus in the past to that extent, I think, are going to have a problem with the new one if they approach it the same way. So for me, it's a brand new platform, basically. Yes, I already have a network here, which is great. I met some amazing friends, as I said before. Most of them are right here. But it's going to be harder to contact them and stay in touch with them, I think. So now it's all about communities and collections. It's very Pinteresty, and I guess that's what it is. Collections is very like Pinterest. So they simplified the platform. They mirrored it to the mobile, and it seems that it's working for them. I mean, they're getting a lot of people from outside of the U.S. Joining in. I put a diagram on the event page that shows, the population and where they're from in terms of the Google Plus. So we'll see how it goes. The big criticism in the past was the complexity of the platform, and certainly it's not complex now. So I think what the complexity is for people who are used to the old way and they can't adapt to the new way. So let's put this out there, guys. So let's just get an idea. Let's get your opinion. What do you think about the new Google Plus? And let's start with Jessica.
I think it's really interesting in the sense that I have anticipation for what's coming next. So for me, any kind of change or chaos in my world is set aside for that idea of what's going to be coming next. And I am not affected by it quite the way that you are and other Hangout hosts or people that were using event pages or people that were actually using it as a social platform in that way. And so I'm excited to hear what everybody else has to say around it too. I'm just looking forward to the future.
But Jess, I mean, you and Scott had a show, HOA show. Scott, so how is that going to affect that?
Well, we did take a hiatus, and boy, am I glad that we did that, because now we have an entirely new world in front of us, and instead of trying to hang on to what we were doing, what we're going to do is assess the new Google Plus, see what its strengths and weaknesses are, what are our needs, what are our audience's desires, and piece something new together. I have a few ideas that I have not shared with Jess yet. If you like, we could turn this into a production planning show. But I
was going to say, on air, in front of everybody, let's take it. No, let's not.
Breaking news. Exactly. Okay.
And Scott brings up a good point. We had already started talking about what else did we want to do to expand out of Google Plus to extend our reach. So for me, it wasn't a super big bump because it was already on our radar, and for me, it's like taking it in stride. What do you think, Scott?
I couldn't agree with you more. From my point of view, Google Plus and the whole platform wasn't really going anyplace. They had to do something because it just wasn't going in the direction in terms of the velocity or the scope that you have to nowadays.
Sorry, Scott, because you're kind of jumping to my second part of the question now, and we're going to get into the analysis soon. But basically, I want to know, how did it make you feel, Scott?
At first, I was really, kind of angry or disappointed, and now I feel great about it. I think, Alphabet has liberated Google from everything else that was going on, and so now I think that they've swept things away, and they said, okay, now that we have the ability to be in charge of our own destiny, what are we going to do? And so I don't have faith that it's all going to turn. Well, I do have faith that it's all going to turn out well. We just don't know what it is, and I think that we can all rightfully be angry at Google for not telling us where they're going and how they're doing it. They're kind of leaving us out of it, and that's not a good way to establish a trusting relationship.
Okay, I knew Bill was going to jump here. No, okay.
I've been burned by Google before. I was invited into Google Helpouts, and that appeared to be a really terrific platform, and it was an opportunity to make money, and Google was going to market your helpouts, and I put time, money, a lot of money and effort into creating my space on that platform. And then Google just let it devolve into Fiverr, where like the lowest common denominator ruled. And I don't give away my expertise. I've been doing this for a long time, and what I have to offer is valuable. So I have been heavily involved in Google+, but it's from the point of view of Hangouts and events. And Dave and I are coming up on episode 122 of Beyond Social Media show this week. Our goal is to get people on our website. That's what we want. That's what this is a tool for. So for as long as Hangouts exist, we're going to embed them on our website. Both of us have a large following in Twitter. Both of us have large followings on our blogs because we've been doing this for a long time. People who thought that Google Plus could be the only place they needed to be made a big mistake. People who think Blab is the only place they need to be are making a huge mistake. There is no one place you need to be except on your own platform. So I don't trust Google. I think that the features that they've taken away, some will come back, some won't. I haven't seen anybody talking to the Google people saying, oh, this is great, thanks so much for what you did. It's a whole lot of complaining, and the complaining led to them bringing back circles. First, they were only going to let you see 6 of your circles. What the hell's the point of that? And then 10, and now you can see them all. But you can't communicate with them, so what's the point of that? And do I need a place to put my blog posts in collections? What the hell, I'll put them there, but what's the point? What am I going to get for it? Google isn't telling me what I'm going to get for it. So why would I do that? Unless you want to bring back authorship, unless you want to give me a search advantage, which is what Google Plus gave at the beginning. I'm just watching and waiting at this point. I think that this is a beta, and it will change. And, I believe Hangouts is something really valuable, and you have to figure out how to use it without the event page. But, what they did, I'm not happy.
You know what, BL? You brought up a really good point in the sense that it has to do with search. And if you look at Google's overall mission, it's to catalog information and deliver that information to the people that want it and that is relevant to the search that they're looking for. And so I would look at these changes as possibly being a way to get back to that, because Google Plus really, I don't think it moved away from that at some point. And maybe it's a hardship for us experiencing it as a user as they're coming back to that core.
Well, they mentioned at one point that there was something said about authorship perhaps coming back, not to take the code off your website. So I think this is going to connect to search. And in that case, great, that'll be valuable.
I'm going to go to Randy and give him a chance to give us his impression of the change. Randy?
Well, the impact, I'm kind of ambivalent about the impact because I agree with everything that BL just said. I mean, she's lost her trust in that platform. Google ran into the wall over and over again with the user experience, made it very difficult, changing things left and right. They would change things, not tell their audience out there and things like that, and it never, ever got traction. Now we're sitting here talking about the new Google Plus, which there's been several reiterations of Google Plus over the last 2 years. The thing that I enjoyed the most about the Google social platform would have been the Hangouts on Air option and events, as we've mentioned. And I think that's what really kind of set them apart for a while. Even with the new unveiled issue, it's still experts such as you, Ray, who I would look up to and say, man, I've got a Google Plus question. You would be top of mind, right? Even you admit that, wow, every time you turn it on, it's something. And that takes into the fact that Google itself really doesn't pay attention to the UX of their platform. I mean, you're a user, but you're running, so people run away from that. And I'm not necessarily talking about BL, Ray, or me telling a client that, hey, you need to use this platform, because you're kind of marketing, you're kind of in the weeds with it. The average user out there is not in the weeds with it, so they gravitate towards something that's kind of fun to them, easy to do, and they can find themselves around without somebody whispering in their ear and not acting like a 60-year-old guy like me or something.
Well, that's how, and I think that's who they've done this for. They've done this for the average user because it is extremely simple. And if you didn't have the baggage of the past, when you go on the platform now, it's fast. There's not a lot of options to go to.
Yeah, but what's the carrot to get that user there?
Right. Why
now?
would you come? I mean, what's the reason? If you weren't there before, why would you join now? I don't see it.
Well, I mean,
if you're brand new into the building a community world, wouldn't you go where the community is?
Yeah, but don't forget that there's a lot of Google sign-ins to all kinds of stuff like Gmail and stuff. So there's still that connection between those products. So there's all, and you can go to your email and you can do a hangout there, but you can't do one on Google Plus. But but you
you can't do a hangout on air in your email. You can do a video call.
Yes.
Which comes back to their absolute inability to explain what the hell they're doing. Hangout video calls and hangouts on air. Who's going to understand what that is? Call a video call, a video call. Call a hangout on air, a hangout on air. They are engineers, and engineers are not people who are clear communicators, sadly.
Engineers are great people. They give us a lot of good stuff.
Of course they are. I love working with them, but only if we're talking about how we're going to use engineering for marketing.
Well, I'm glad Vivek's not here. I mean,
I know. that was the first guy that came to mind when she said that. He'll be in the Blab audience. He'll be saying something.
Yes, you were saying something?
Well, and a big part of Google Plus, even though it had a different login and a starting point, had the same user interface, was the Google Places and the Google Pages for businesses. And so we're talking about how we use it, but is there a difference? And this is an honest question for me. Is there a difference between that makes it easier for businesses to use this same interface a little bit easier?
No, it's
harder. It's harder for businesses. It's almost like they don't want businesses anymore.
They don't, but there's one thing that everybody needs to do, and that they're not communicating. You better go to your About Me page, and you better change what you have there, because that's how you're going to be found in search and everywhere through the Google ecosystem, and nobody did their profile right to begin with, except those of us who are power users. And if you don't do that, you are definitely going to suffer in search. So, that is crucial. And Google hasn't even mentioned it.
That profile follows you on all over Google, everywhere. For sure. And so I had done that. But I want to go back to something you said earlier, Bill. You had mentioned about the benefits of going on Google Plus, and I did read something this morning that mentioned that there is evidence that if you do add to collections and communities and you have a lot of network on Google Plus, or you still have advantage in personalized search. So maintaining a strong network on Google Plus, I guess, is an advantage. If you use those things in terms of search.
Well, I'm not going to leave, but I'm certainly not going to spend 5 hours a day there. I mean, I'm going to take content that I have in other places and put it in collections and see what happens as a result of that. But until Google gives me back the knowledge graph, which was your option to really shine in search by participating on this platform, I'm giving them something. What are they giving me?
Well, that's a good point, because I have a hard time now thinking of a rationale to try to talk a business into going on Google Plus, because I mean the reviews aren't there anymore. You have to go onto the map, so your Google Plus page. All those months and months of talking people into syncing their Google Plus page with their Google Plus pages, and then the Google My Business, and now it's like, why? That's a big change. So yeah, it's tough for us, as you said, Randy, the power users and stuff. I mean, we're the ones I feel that have the most difficult time. I do think, in terms of the people, because what Google wants, Google doesn't care about us personally. They want our data, right? They don't care about the social part. We did that ourselves. We made Google Plus a very social platform with networking and the friends that we meet and all that. I don't think that was ever their intent. They just want us to pour all of our stuff there. And
they've got that though now.
Yeah,
and not only do they have it, they have an enhanced way of getting it without having all those little connect this dot to that dot.
That's why collections and communities, right? Because they're both extremely interest based. So they want. Yep.
You can't search in communities, so clearly they have to bring that back. I mean, I think, when they say this is beta, they're not kidding, because what's the point of emphasizing communities if you can't find anything in them? It's a search company. We need to have search in communities. We need to have search in collections. So clearly, this came out a week ago. Clearly,
yeah, they probably will, bring some of those missing links back.
They
to
already
it.
have, Russ.
But it's just like Pinterest, right? Pinterest. If you go on somebody's Pinterest board, you can find out whatever kind of remote interest they might have by either what they liked or what they pinned on their board, right? And how they found it. You can most of the times find out, well, where did they go to get that item? Did they create it? Did they go search for it? You know, or whatever. So I mean, that's where, you know, and like you said, I mean, they're just data mining, right, to sell to advertising, and that's I mean, that's just the animal that we live in. BL said, and rightly so, I applaud her. I mean, we've said it over and over and over again, that her and Dave do this thing to drive to her website. Mm-hmm. You know, now if she wants to take some of her content, her created content, her shared content that she does, and sprinkle it out among, you know, collections or on Facebook occasionally to build her social proofing and to establish herself. I mean, that's what we all do, right? But her goal is to get them locked into her website so that she can sell to them, whatever that may be, right?
Well, and Google is search is what Google is visibly doing, but their business is advertising. So, you know, this is a platform without advertising. So how much support are they going to put into it when it's not making money? Which is why I think they're going to start charging for Hangouts and bring a lot of features back into Hangouts.
I don't know if they're going to do that, but I do think, I know this is one of the things that Gideon Rosenblatt had mentioned, why, because Facebook has a desktop version and it has a mobile, and he was saying, why couldn't Google do the same thing? And he's saying, well, because they can't afford to, because they don't have advertising on the Google Plus platform. So it was more cost efficient to combine the two and favor the mobile, which is where everything is going, instead of trying to maintain a desktop thing.
With Hangouts and all the bells and whistles that it has had, doesn't have, added back in and all that, but what they're able to do with the Hangout platform, I think Bill is if they're not thinking about it, they should be, because I think that is a chargeable item for say the Ray to Go show, because it's a great thing that's consistent, and you can repackage it, do all kind of stuff, and send it over to Scott Treatment and get that stuff done. But you can create good content and do many things with it. But it has in the past had some features that make it very, you know, high-end quality. The HD aspect of the Hangouts is great. I mean, you don't have that on some of the other streaming. Now, you know, that's the live streaming part. You know, we need to work on that a little bit with them. But that to me is a sellable item.
Did anyone notice this morning when they turned on their HOA, the video, that there was a beta version of it?
I did.
Okay, because that was the first time.
I didn't see that.
It was the first time I saw it,
but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I was surprised this morning when I turned on the broadcast, and I thought, oh my God, it was completely different, and you couldn't find the Hangout toolbox wasn't there, and all that. And thankfully, I found that you could go back to the classic version, but that was a bit scary. So if they go ahead with a new version that doesn't have those third-party apps, what do? We don't have the lower thirds and the graphic capabilities unless you go into a third-party app like Snagit or one of those things, Manycam or those things. So I mean, that's a big deal too. And again, can we complain? It was free, right? I mean, we didn't have to pay for it. So you're right, Randy. They gave us a production quality platform that we didn't have to pay for.
Well, they could tier it too. They could keep a free version, you know, that has limited features. But if you really want to get, you know, a console and stuff like that you can, you know, control better, put a price on it.
I'm thinking about businesses, and I'm thinking about everything and all of this amazing stuff that you guys have been sharing. And if I were to take this conversation and apply it to a business, most businesses that are trying to have some sort of a service, they're putting energy and effort into some sort of a website or a blog. And as that content on their website grows, and it grows and grows and grows, eventually it gets really hard to handle and organize. Well, the same is true for code. The same is true for these applications, that they're trying to add to this, they're trying to do these things, and sometimes what do? We have to go and we have to chop it all out to get a handle on really what our core piece is and our core message for our business, to make sure everything is in alignment with our message in every part of our business. to be able to move forward. And there might be things that customers of businesses that they really relied on some of those blog posts, or they are really sad that now they're behind a paywall because they were so useful and they were free. But we do this to our customers as businesses on a much smaller scale. And so I think it's important to recognize that too, that we can tie this conversation back to businesses and look at it and say, how do our customers really feel? And are they out there talking behind our backs or to themselves because they don't have anybody else to talk to? Like, we can talk to each other about this larger platform, since this is where we all congregate. So we could use this as part of our strategy building, and how could we best communicate with our customers when we're making bigger changes instead of just doing it and hoping no one notices.
Well, Google said, Eduardo, I can't think of his last name, said in his post explaining that this was coming, he said that they talked to thousands of users, and my question was, were they people with internet connections? I mean, who were these people that they talked to ask what features they wanted? They didn't ask us. There were no surveys for us, and
are we their target market, or are they trying to break into new markets?
Totally. Google seemed to be very ambivalent about the event. They had paid no attention to the event page for forever. So I don't know if that. I think that's going to be gone, and we're going to have to, as Hanging On Air host, think of another way of doing broadcasts and getting them to our followers. So we're at the end of the show, and we're at the end of the season, and I want to thank all my friends here on the panel: BL, Jess, Randy, Scott. You guys, you make my week, and I hope we'll be in touch for December, because I can't imagine a month going by without chatting with you. And you guys, thanks for sticking out. We've been doing this for a long time, and I feel I know you guys personally as you appear either in the comment tracker when it works, or the event page. So thanks very much for hanging in there, and let us know how you feel about the changes to Google+. Are you enthused about it? Does it leave you a bit in the lurch in terms of what your marketing is going to be for next year? So we'll see you then, and listen, have a great holiday and a wonderful new year. We'll see you in January. Take care. Bye-bye.